we are going to be diving into graphing. So I am going to be using some different colors in this. So as you're getting started, I am planning on blue and orange and maybe a little bit of green because we are going to be tackling slope and y-intercept, and I want to be able to coordinate those a little bit. So here we go. In graphing, we are going to rely heavily on the equation y equals mx plus b. That is called slope-intercept form. And that idea of slope-intercept form means, this idea of slope-intercept form is this y equals mx plus b. And we have in this equation, I'm going to use orange, or this orangey looking color. B is our y-intercept. And this is when we draw a graph, this represents the beginning of our graph. It's an ordered pair 0, B, it's the y-intercept, it's on the y-axis. The other key number here is our slope. M represents slope. I'm using blue for slope. Slope is the rise over the run. Our rise represents moving up or moving down. Up when our slope is positive, down when our slope is negative. We always run to the right. A couple of little wrinkles. If the slope is 1, we go up 1, right 1. If for some reason it's -1, we go down 1, right 1. And so we might see in our equation, it might just say x, or it might just say -x, and that's what we're talking about here. So if you see an equation that's just x or -x, it means our slope is 1, and we're going to deal with it that way. So let's run through 2 examples here. The first one's pretty basic. Example, y equals 5x minus 7. Okay, so as we're looking at this, remember B is the beginning of our graph. So I'm going to double underline with my orange where B is. And then I'm going to put a point at -7 on the y-axis. So no shame in this game if you need to write x. Whoops. If you need to write x for the x-axis and y for the y-axis. So I've got my y-intercept plotted, my orange dot. My slope is 5. That means I have a rise of 5 and a run of 1. When there's no run, put it over 1. Right? If there's nothing down there in the run spot, put it over 1. So my slope means I'm going to rise up 5, and I'm going to run to the right 1. And that's where I'm going to put my next point on my graph. So I'm going to rise up 5, and I'm going to run to the right 1. And I'm going to rise up 5, and I'm going to run to the right 1. Once I have some points, I can connect them, and there's my graph. So let's do another one, because not every equation is written so nicely. Sometimes they're written in what's called standard form, and our job to start things off is to change it to slope-intercept form. And the way we do that is we solve for y. So I'm going to bust out my green, and I'm just going to put an arrow on top of the y. This is what I'm trying to solve for. I'm trying to get y by itself. So here's what I'm going to do first. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take away 4x from both sides. I want to clean out the side that y is on, and so I'm going to do that by subtracting 4x. Now, slope-intercept form is of the form mx plus b. So I'm going to keep my x in front, and I'm going to keep it separate from my b. I'm not going to put those together. I'm just going to leave it on its lonesome. Then The next thing I'm going to do is I want, again, y by itself. So I need to divide by this -8. The -8 is multiplying the y, so I cancel it by dividing. If I divide one thing, I divide everything. So every single term is going to get divided by -8 underneath it. In the first place, I get y equals. In the next spot, -4 over -8 reduces to a positive, and then 4/8 is 1/2. So I have 1 over 2x, and then 32 divided by -8 is -4. So as we're looking at this, now we have it in what's called slope-intercept form, and we can identify our y-intercept, where the beginning of our graph will be, and click down a point. Then we can box our slope. Our slope here has a rise of 1, so we're going to go up 1, and a run of 2, so I'm going to run to the right 2. So rise up 1, run to the right 2, and throw down a dot. Rise up 1, run to the right 2, and throw down a dot. Rise up 1, run to the right 2, and throw down a dot. And then I'm going to connect it and say, wow, look at my sweet looking line. So make sure you identify what your y-intercept is and what your slope is. You got this, people.